Okay, so here's this video I was going to make to help you out with Corel. You said you're really new and you don't know quite what you're doing with it yet. So the main problem you had is you wanted to know when you import it, when you do a text or shape into the area here, you want to know if it's already vector or if it's still a shape, or how that works, and then also if you have a bunch of text in the drawing, how you can make them one. Okay, so I'm going to go over that first, and then, excuse me, I'm going to touch on a few other things I think you should know and help you out. I mentioned that there was advantages, disadvantages of having them kept as text or converting them to curves. I'll show you how to convert things to curves and things of that nature. So to get started, I have my window here. I want to show you a few things that you probably should bring up that'll just help you, and I like to work with them always on just because it helps me. But if you go up here to window and then down to Dockers, all these different things are basically like things that'll help you do things, okay? And you can play around with all these. It'll open up a little separate window and it'll do things in your drawing. But the main one you want is Object Manager. Click on that, and that opens this over here onto the side, which is basically your layers. Okay, and it may have opened like this in a separate window. Okay, but if you just grab it and drag it over here, you'll see that the gray outline will pop right there, how it did. If you release it, then it locks it in there. You can also drag it over to the right, and it'll lock over to the right if you prefer it to be over there. I prefer mine over here on the right, just because that's how I like to work. But so open up this. This shows you all of the layers, and this is where your objects will show up, and it'll tell you how you can think. This is where you can turn the document grid on. You see how it has a grid, and then you can you can snap to the grid and things like that. Okay, I usually leave that off though. Guides, like when you drag a guide down here, you can turn the guides on and off. So if they're bugging you, and you know that this is where is the easiest place to do all that. So open that up, because once you get using Corel, you'll use this. You use the Object Manager a lot. Okay. And then the other thing I suggest you opening is in Windows Dockers. It's right above that Object Properties. Okay. Open that one up, and it may jump into this same box. You notice that up here, Object Properties, that's what we just opened, and then down here, Object Manager. It pushed it down, and I don't like doing it this way. It's basically two separate windows, and you have to like click on which one you want to use, and I just don't like it that way. So what I do is, if you pull the properties out, okay, or the manager, it doesn't matter. You can put this one wherever you want also. Okay, they're all basically Dockers, which means they'll dock wherever you want. Okay, so if you snap it over here, and you see how that line goes above it, that'll put it back to where it was just previously, where it creates its own separate window, I guess you could say. Or you can snap it to the side like that, which will put it side by side. I don't like doing that because it makes my space really small. But if you go like this, you see how the square like snapped inside of the other square? This is how I like to work with it, because it's in the same window, but then you have these tabs here, and I just find the tabs a lot easier than having to click the minimize buttons on the bottom and stuff. Okay, so that's how it works. Basically, the Object Properties is for any object you draw, it will give you all of the properties for that object. So this is where you can select. Like we could go 3 right here on the corner size, hit enter, you see how it radius the corner. Okay, so you can do basically anything that pertains to a certain object, you can do in this thing. You can change the width of the outline, You know, you can just everything pretty much you can do, and that's the fill, and this is the rectangle section, and this is, even if you wanted to do a hyperlink for like web-based things, you can do all that through the object properties. Okay, so that's another thing you should open. So now that you have those up, let's get to the two things you want to know. When you draw an object, is it in curves or is it like an object? And we'll just go text like that, and we'll make it a little bigger so we can see it. Okay, so now we have a text and an object, or a rectangle, I guess, better suited. The easiest way to tell if something is in text form or it's like a rectangle versus whether it's curves is when you click on it, look right down here. You see how that says rectangle on layer 1, okay? And if you click right here on the text and you look down here, artistic text. This down here is, like it says, object information. This is what will tell you what it is that you're clicked on, okay? The other place you can tell is in the object manager. You can see now on layer 1 we have the two things, and if you click on them in here, it selects them over here automatically. So if you have a bunch of stuff in here and you can't manage to select on something that might be small, might be covered up with something else, you can come over here and you will always be able to see every single thing in your entire document in this object manager. So if you select it, it'll select it out here, and then you can come down here and or like right click and it'll this. The other thing to know is left clicking on the little color swatches changes the fill, and if you right click, it changes. You see how I put the outline around it? Right clicking changes the stroke or the outline color, okay? And if you right click up here, it takes away the fill. If you left click, it takes away the fill, and it makes it basically transparent. So you see how that just shows through. So left clicking does everything with the fill color, right clicking does everything with the outline color. Okay, so that's how you can tell if an object is either a curve or a text or things of that nature, and you can also tell over here in your object manager. As you can see in the object properties, there's different, this will change for whatever you have selected, okay? So, and this is a little different to where this one has like your outline options, your fill options, but when you select the text, it has the characters, and the fill is down here instead of up here in the little button bar. So this changes around depending on what you have, but this is all your different text options for when you have text, okay? Now let's move to your second question. That's how you can tell what things are in CorelDraw. And now let's move to the second question you had was, and what I did right there is that's the easiest way to copy something. Let me show you that also. Is if you know how you normally move stuff. You left click, hold, and move it around, drop it wherever it goes, right? Well, if you want to copy something, you grab it and move it, but then while you still have the left click held down, click the right button on your mouse. As soon as you do that, you see how it automatically copied it, and there's a little plus next to my arrow there. That's basically telling it that you want to copy it. So if you just move it around like you normally do, but before you let go of it to place it, you click the right button, it'll automatically copy it, and that's how you can get a copy. Okay. So now, as far as making text one one entity, I guess you could say, is when it's in the text form. The only way you can do it that I know of, granted I don't know everything about Corel, but the only way I know you can do it and keep things in the same order as they are right now is to take them all and group them together, which is basically you right click on it and come up here to group. And now when you click on this, you see how it selects them all, and now they're basically in a group. If you come over here to the Object Manager, you can see that it's showing you that now you have a group of 3 objects. And if you open that up, you'll have all your different texts. And the Object Manager is a good place to select everything and change the colors anyways. You can't do everything by just selecting it over here versus doing it over here, because if you do it over here, you can hold down Shift while you're clicking, and that selects just the one object, and you can move it, and then once you click out and you click it, it's still in the group. Okay, but I find it sometimes easier just to come up here and select things. So that's the different options there. So that's how you make everything quote unquote one object, but they're still technically separate objects. They're just grouped together so you can manipulate them in one thing. So now if I ungroup these, I'm going to show you what will happen if you select them all and click combine. It should, see how I put them all together, and we don't want that, because that would just potentially screw up your whole design. So as long as it's still in text, the artistic text form, and the text is still editable, right, you want to just group them, and that's all you really want to do. These we could combine because, well, what did that just do? I don't know why it flipped it like that. Oh, maybe because it was the way it was in there. But yeah, see, so the text is, when I broke it apart, it put them in each individual letters, which is not really ideal. The other way you can deal with text and keep it the way you want it is convert it to curves. Okay, there's a few different ways you can do that. You can select something and right click, and then right here convert to curves. This is going to take it and change it from text to basically an object. Okay, and you can see it didn't change anything, but it is, and you could do all 3 at once if you wanted to. I'm just doing them separately for some reason, but once they're an object, they're no longer considered a text. Actually, let me redo this one. Okay, so you see over here this one, and let me delete this one just so we have the 2. Okay, so this one is the text. I'm going to move them. So this one is the text, or the curve, I'm sorry, as you can see over here and also down here. This one is it's still in the text format. Okay, you can see that object properties are different, because this gives you that you can change the text type, right? But this you can't do anything, because this is basically now the program considers this as just like lines. Okay, it's just lines with a fill color and a stroke color. That's all it is. It's no longer text. It's a curve. Okay, so once you convert them to curves, you cannot go back to text. At least I do not know how to convert it back to text, other than like Control Z or the undo function. Okay, So once they're in curves, you have more options. You can still right click and group, and that does the same thing as it did before. It just puts them in a group. They're still two separate objects. You can still select them differently, right? But they're and you can also group up here also. Okay, but the other way you can do it is you can come up here to weld, which combines objects into a single curved object with a single fill and outline. So if you do that, you notice that over here, well, let me back that up. You see how I have the two objects selected, and when I click on weld, that turns them into one object. So now they are technically one complete object. And when I click on this one, it selects everything, and when I change the color, it changes everything because it's now one object. Okay, we'll back up here. Now we have our two objects again because I reversed everything. Combine will also do that. Sometimes combine gives you different effects than the weld does, and I don't completely understand all that, but it just does. Okay, another better way to understand that is, like, let's say these overlap like this, right? And we'll turn this one red, and we'll move this one back. I just hit Control Page Down, by the way. That's, you can see over in the Object Manager, that's how you can move things like forward and backwards in the layer, or you can come over here and just grab it and drag it above, and you can see that it's moving things above or below other objects. Okay, so anyway, so you grab this, and if we click weld, you're going to notice that this is going to basically turn into one object. Okay, you see how that all turned into one thing. Another good way to show that is if we go to View and Wireframe, you can see how these two objects are overlapping each other, because right now there's still two separate objects. Okay, as soon as we hit weld, those will become one, as you'll see right now. Okay, you see what it did? Like, now this object is literally one piece. It's all one piece technically, even though they're separate entities. It's considered one thing in Corel. Okay, and I've never actually tried combine to see what that. Okay, so combine combines them, but it leaves the. It doesn't do the same thing as well. So as you can see, there are slight differences between the two. So that is basically how you can get the objects together and keep them together. And that was one of the questions you had. The other thing, this you can stop right now if you'd like, because I've answered the questions you did have. I am going to continue on a little bit and show you a few things that I think you maybe want to know, considering you said you were new to the program and don't know anything about it. I'm also going to go over some of the advantages and disadvantages of leaving things as objects or rectangles or text versus converting them to curves. Okay, so okay, I'm going a little long here, so I'm not going to go into too much depth, but I'll just go over the main advantages of leaving something as a curve versus not. We'll start with text. Okay, we'll just put text again. Let me drag that out so it's bigger. Okay, so when I'm going to make two, this one we're going to convert to curves, which the hotkey for that is Control Q, just in case you were wondering. That's what I just hit, and that's converted to a curve. Okay. So basically, when you have a curve, and basically vector is nodes and lines. Okay. This right here is the shape tool, and it basically takes all these different little nodes and it can edit them. So you can do pretty much whatever you want. Once it's a curve, you can do anything. Like I can grab this line and pull it up like that, right? Or grab this line, pull it down like that. You can take this one here, let's say, and say you want it to be a straight line, and it'll straighten that out. Okay. There's a million different things you can do with nodes and curves. And basically what it is it's like this line, you see these handles here, you can grab those, and you see how it's doing both of them at the same time. And say you didn't want to do that, you come up here and you click this cusp node, which makes it basically say that you only want to bend one side of the node at a time. So then when you do it, you see how that one stays the same. Or you can go like that and it puts it back into where it's always going to be even. Okay, so that's what vector is. It's basically mathematical lines and curves. Okay, so when it comes to text, like artistic text, they don't have the same features. As you can see, there's no nodes here because it's still technically text, but there are things that you can do. Let me actually make this a little bit longer. I'll just put in some random gibberish here so we can kind of see. Okay, so there are some things you can do to the text while it's still in text with the shape tool. You can grab this and extend it out or smash it together more. Okay, and still, so we could smash it up like this, and it's still considered text. So then when we go and continue typing, you see how it's still putting the letters in there, but it's all smashed up for what we just did to it, and that's what this little thing does. Okay, and then there's also this that I believe you have to that is if you have more than like a few lines, right? So let me move this out here, because this is in my way. And we'll move over here a little bit. So then this one does the same thing the other one did. It just smashes the things up. The other thing you can kind of do that's pretty cool is these are kind of like nodes. So if you click that and then you grab it, you can move the E up there. Or you can take this and move that down there. And let me squeeze these out so it looks more normal. See, so or you can grab all three and move all three of those down, or move them somewhere else. And you can see up here it's changing all that, or you can rotate them. Right, so that's the difference between leaving things as a text and changing them to a curve. There's different options and different advantages to doing either or. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you was, let me find like a complex star. And the other thing too, over here you see these little arrows at the bottom. That means that there's other tools stacked in with this. You can either try and put your mouse right on the little triangle and click, and that'll open the little flyout, or you can just come right in here anywhere and click and hold, and that brings a little flyout up too. The click and hold is much easier, just because you don't have to be quite as accurate on where your mouse is and whatnot. So let's go to the complex star, and I'm going to show you this. We'll come over here so we don't have to deal with the page getting in our way. So when you're drawing this out, if you hold Control, it makes it to where the height and the width is the exact same, and I let go of it too. You can see how those numbers up there are staying the same. Okay. As you can see, it's a complex star. Okay. If we convert this to a curve, then like I said, all it is now is it's a curve, and we can select this one and move it over here, and it does that just fine. And we can double click and add a node, and we can double click and add a node here, and then we can take this and add another one and pull that up like that. So it becomes just lines and nodes. Okay, let's back up. where it's still a complex star. Okay, this is where leaving it a complex star can come in really handy. So we still are with our shape tool. We come over here and grab this node, and when you see how they're all moving now? Let me actually, whoops. Let me actually make a copy of this. Man, what am I doing? Convert this one to curves so we can kind of see what the difference is. Okay, now we're going to go to our shape tool. We're going to click on this. We're going to grab this node and pull it up here like this. Okay, you see how that only moved that one node. Okay, if we come over here to the complex star, that is still a complex star and it's not technically a curve. If we grab this one the same way we did and we pull it up here like this, you see what it's doing to that star now? Okay, and now let's go back, so they both look the same. Now let's say we're going to add a node here, and we're going to add a node here, and we're going to add a node here, and we want to pull this out like this. Let's just go up like that. See, it added just that because this is a curve. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here. If you notice, it added those nodes on every single thing. So if we grab this same node like we did on the other object and pull this up, you see how it's doing that to every one of them? Okay, so that is the benefit of why you would want to leave something as a rectangle or an ellipse, or it mainly does it with the stars and like the polygons and things like that, but there are benefits. Whoops. There are benefits. Another thing for like the rectangle is you can come up here and change, like let's say 6. You see how I put that curve on there? You can come and change each one of these, but you don't need to. If it's still a rectangle, you can just grab your shape tool and grab this and move it down like that. See, and if it's a rectangle, or I mean if you've taken the rectangle and converted it to a curve, you notice how when you click on it, that option goes away. Like, you can't do that anymore as easily. You can come up here to the Dockers and go to fillet, this one right here, and open that up, and then once you have this, you can go like this and put a 6 and hit apply, and then it puts the radiuses around the corners, but it's not nearly as easy as just leaving it as a rectangle and doing it and making all your modifications